Hello everyone, welcome to Student Chambers. Now, this evening I will be taking a short course from the AMD Arena. AMD Arena hosts a variety of different courses which helps people upskill their knowledge on the different types of processors and the things that AMD are now sort of pushing out there. With the changing times ahead, I believe IT is going to become even more crucial, and this will open up many different sources of avenue to learn, also maybe to learn and train and to get a new skill. So this will be my first review of the AMD's Arena training suite that they have. You can register free if you were to go on to amd.com, go into the partner area, and it will take you AMD Arena. And once you go into there, you'll get to this section here which will say register now. Follow the process straight through there, and then it will register you like normal. And then you can decide on what you would like to learn. So today I will be looking at the 3rd generation AMD Ryzen desktop processors and what the course material is like. Products covered: it's the new AMD Ryzen 3000 series, AMD Ryzen 9, 7 and 5. So let us all begin together. Now again, I'm doing this course, it's the first time I'm looking at this course as well, so it will be good for all of us to look at this and learn together. Course overview. So let's look at where are we going to start at. It's got cutting edge technology. Now, I'm not a supercomputer specialist. There are experts out there which will know tons of more information than I would, but I would like to learn about what AMD has to offer. I've always been an Intel fan, and I've always had, when I've built custom computers, I've always used Intel as processors. So now AMD's super up their game. When I decide to build my new computer, I'd like to build it with AMD. So what I'm doing now is upskilling myself and understanding what's on offer here. So elite performance. So now I guess it depends what you would like to do. If you're going to be doing video editing, gaming, general web browsing. Now, one of the areas that I'm going to be exploring more into detail is the esports gaming. I'm a big fan of esports. I'm a big fan of gaming. Gaming since the early 1990s. I was one of the 80s generations which got to play with Sega Master Systems, the Commodore 64s, the Super Nintendos. So I've seen the evolution of gaming. And with PC gaming, there's always been, you either are sort of a PC fan or you like your consoles, but now there's becoming a bridge, because the same graphics that you can get on your PlayStation or Xbox, you can get it on your desktop computer. So if we look at this, video encoding, it's quite quick. Ryzen 9 compared to the Ryzen 7. What would have been good is that they're actually looking at one of the previous generations. They're looking at Ryzen 7 2700X, and they're looking at Ryzen 9 3900X. That's not a fair sort of performance. What would have been great is looking at Ryzen 7 2700X versus the new Ryzen 7 3700X. So we can see that, okay, it's Ryzen 9, but I guess it's because Ryzen 9's a new generation now. There wasn't an old Ryzen 9. Okay, so that's performance. Energy efficiency. Faster gaming. Again, Ryzen 9 3900X is their flagship processor. It would have been nice to actually see a comparison with Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5. Now, comparing it again to an older generation processor, it's not what I would have been looking at in this sort of training here. So yes, it gives us some information, because imagine this: if you were to build a new PC or your gaming rig, you're very likely to be installing the latest processors, which is the 3000 series. So I wouldn't really be looking at the 2000 series performance compared to our flagship model here. Okay. Let's see this. This is good to know. So we can see here now, again, when we look at, like, for some of you which have done computer building before, or if you built a rig, or if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you can learn about, you know, the importance of having a good motherboard alongside your processor. One thing I like about AMD is that if we look here, now if we look on this corner here, motherboard chipsets. Now the beauty with this is that if you were to go a generation back, let's say, to the X470 series, it's compatible with all the Ryzen processors, including the new Ryzen processors. And if you go for the next X570, that is compatible with the 2000 series plus the 3000 series. So again, if you're looking to do a custom build maybe, and you're on a tight budget, which I surely will be on a tight budget when I'm doing a custom build, so I'm hoping to save up enough money and try to get the sort of best possible build within my budget range. Now, when you look on here, the good thing is, let's say if you wanted to slowly build yourself up your new build, you can get the new X570 motherboard chipset here, and you can get yourself a very good 2000 series AMD. Now this kind of, I think I understand why, when they create this training course, why they actually compared the Ryzen 7 2700X versus the Ryzen 9 3900X. Because if you were to perhaps get, you know, if you're doing a slow build, you can get yourself a new motherboard, but you might even have the old Ryzen 7 2700X. So you can slowly build it up that way, so you can use your existing processor on your new motherboard. So we can see the good thing with using an AMD chipset is that it's backward compatible. So if you were to get a new X570 motherboard, if you were to perhaps, when AMD's maybe releasing their new generation, the 4000 chipset, you could actually use that and, you know, have it on your board. Whereas from history, sometimes if you go for an Intel build, for example, that might not allow you to sort of future-proof it really. If what happened was, I'll give you my example. My computer's a good few years old now. I built it in 2014, and I really went out in town with that. I bought the best processor at the time, which was my i5. I think it's a 4670K, if I remember correctly. I bought the best i5 that I could buy, and I bought a very good motherboard. However, I was quite new into the sort of computing era. My cousin taught me how to build computers, but he was the sort of master builder. So I thought, let me give it a try. However, if I had just waited a few months, I would have been able to get the latest chipset and had the latest processor. Because what happened was, on my old chipset, it had DDR3 RAM. And when the new generation came out, so I had the 4th generation Intel. And when the 5th generation Intel came out, it came out on a whole new motherboard. On that motherboard, you had DDR4 RAM. Okay, it was a bit more expensive for DDR4, but DDR4 has been out for a very long time now. And the new motherboard allowed you to upgrade with the new generations because it was that sort of chipset there. So it's very important you understand, you grasp the concepts around the motherboards and how processors work and fit in. But I would say when you go for an AMD Ryzen, you're future proofing. So that is really great. Okay. Oh, this is great now. Our new PCIe 4.0. Double the bandwidth. 3rd generation AMD Ryzen processors are the first gaming processors to PCIe 4.0 ready. Now again, the beauty is, if you're going to have a new motherboard, you're going to have the latest specs on there. Having a PCIe 4.0, right, now you're starting your build with the latest technology, so you have room for development. 2 times the graphic bandwidth. So as you can see, generation 3 sort of frames per second, generation 4 there's a significant improvement, and the storage bandwidth as well. Read speeds are very important for us gamers, right? Now, if you've installed the game onto your, if it's not an online game, if it's a game which is onto your your computer, the read speeds are going to make everything much more efficient, including the gameplay. And again, the beauty of me sort of doing this training course with you all is that I'm getting to learn and you're getting to learn, because I have not looked at this before. One of the things, I'm a trainer and I train different qualifications, as you can see from my other videos on my channel. Now, what I say is, one thing I've learned in the training world is that if you train another person while you're training, you can retain knowledge and you can upskill faster. So it's great doing this with you all. For enthusiasts now, super speed USB 10 gigabytes per second, high speed USB, SATA, and total PCI 4.0 lanes. So again guys, I'll be honest with you, I am not a computer expert, but I'm learning, and in time I'll be able to sort of expand on this and explain to you the full differences. From my understanding, from what I know, right, is we've always been used to the SATA connections. When we had the normal hard drives, right, and then recently over the last few years we've had our solid states. I say recently, it's only because I've, when I did my self build in 2014, I used a solid state on there, but now you can see that with us having our new sort of our M2s, functionality gets quicker and faster. And we've got our new USB Type-Cs, our third generation 3.2s, which is instantly rapid sort of thing compared to the old sort of USBs. Okay, let's see. Memory compatibility. DDR4 3600 megahertz. Now again, if you were to look on the different types of memory available, you will notice that the higher sort of frequencies you go, the more expensive it becomes. Now, again, I'm not sure how, sort of in detail, how the frequencies will sort of impact. So if I had a DDR4 3600, or if I had a DDR4 4200, what sort of significant change would I see? Now again, you see this for enthusiasts. So, you know, it's like, I like cars, right? And for the car lovers out there, we know, you know, the more BHP we can get, even if it means just changing the back box for the exhaust, even if it might give you an extra 2 or 3 or 5 brake horsepower, you'd be like, well, it's a little bit more. Change the whole exhaust manifold, you're going to get a considerable amount more. If you start putting new turbos in or remapping, you're going to see a whole big difference. So again, I've always looked at a computer build like you're sort of building a car, or you're tuning up your car. Every little bit sort of works together in harmony, and it significantly improves the performance. Let's see next now. One-click overclocking. Now, pushing the limits. So it's got sort of overdrive features on here. Now, it's like saying, if you were to get your car sort of remapped, and you can adjust your torque levels, your brake horsepower, your fuel consumption, this is what you can do on there. Premium bundled coolers. Now, this is awesome. I like when you go and pick a new AMD, they actually give you a very good stock cooler. They give you the AMD Wraith Prism cooler. Now, normally, which a lot of you know, if you go pick yourself up, you know, I'm not going to be biased and say, you know, if you go and get yourself an Intel, you see the stock cooler you get, and 9 out of 10 times everyone's going to get a water cooler, or the stock coolers aren't that great. It's a stock cooler. It'll do the job. But again, if you're doing self-build, or you want to do a gaming rig, you want the best possible cooler. And this is given to us via AMD. So I'm liking them already. So premium build coolers, powerful near silent, included with the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. But when you go with the nice one here, it looks nice as well. It's got its RGB lighting on there. If you get yourself a nice cool case, that's gonna definitely put you up there. Okay, so that's for this section here. Let's go for this technical specs. This is, I tell you what, let's start at Ryzen 5. This is really important now. This is the bit I like to see, and you know, this is like seeing what you're gonna get. Ryzen 5 3600. The difference between with the X and without the X. So we've got 3600 serious gaming, and 3000 with the X is serious high definition gaming. They both got 6 cores, 12 threads. If you look at the boost clocks, X has got slightly more, 0.2. Base clock, 0.2. Game cache is the same, but you'll notice the actual sort of the power consumption slightly increases from 65 watts to 95 watts. But they're both PCIe 4.0 compatible. And the great thing is 3000 series processors are fully unlocked. Let's see now the 7. Both 8 cores, 16 threads. Ooh. You know, as I've told you before, guys, I'm working on the 4th generation Intel. I got 4 cores and 4 threads. So it may seem balanced, right? But I read in this article that somebody explained this really great, and it kind of made sense to me. A core is like the mouth. It's like the main sort of, it does its tasks, or it sends instructions. And our threads are like our hands, which does all the sort of work. So with mine, you might think 4 cores, 4 threads, okay, it's balanced. And, you know, to be fair, a lot of the games that I see on Xbox, like the Game Pass that I've just started to use, they're all sort of, the minimum compute requirements is the 4th generation. So it's good to know I'm not that sort of out of the game yet. So I can still use this for a little bit longer until I save enough money to get a new build. Now, but when we look at this now, 8 cores, 16 threads, that's like, it's 8 mouths, 2 hands, it does the job. So we can see the difference between the 3800 and 3700X. 800 is competition class gaming and streaming, and then the 37 is dominant gaming and streaming. They both got 4.5, well, the 3800's got 4.5 gigahertz in the boost, so it's slightly up, but the base is considerably higher, well, by 0.3. Game cache is the same. Again, you see on the 3800, the power consumption is much higher. So let's look at our 9. This is like the flagship model, and it's slightly more expensive, but I love seeing, you know, 16 cores, 32 threads, 12 cores, 24 threads. Imagine that, 16 cores, 32 threads. Oh, that must be, and if you've got a full spec, so you've got good RAM, you've got a good powerful processor, and you've got a good motherboard, and if you've got a good graphics card to go with it, and you've got your, you know, a good M.2, you've got the whole shebang, the whole 9 yards, it would be interesting to see what gaming would look like on that. You know, even if you were to do video editing, that would be like seamless. It would just go, it would be nice to see. Hopefully I can get one of those one day and then show you all. So the 3900, that's top performance. Well, the 950, world's most powerful gaming processor. Now that's for like the proper esports gamers, super gamers, which make a lot of money from doing esports gaming. And to be fair, I think AMD might even sponsor the guys and say, hey, you know what, check out, we'll give you a 3950X. Maybe if AMD looks at my tutorial, they might think, you know what, hey, let's just give him, maybe, I'd be happy with the Ryzen 7, to be fair. If they were to give me the Ryzen 9, you ain't going to see me complaining. So 16 cores, 32 threads, it's got a good base and the boost is higher. It's got slightly game cache, but when you compare it to the 3900, the base clock is higher, compared to the 50, and the boost clock is just the slightest point, it's 0.1 higher. So you can see, you know, roughly, it depends what you want to do. So again, if you're like a super gamer which makes mega money in esports, then hell yeah, go for the Ryzen 9. If you're going to be like me, which, you know, does a variety of different things, the Ryzen 7, because to be fair, you know, I'd like seeing a 12 cores, 24 threads. That's powerful. But again, for my needs, 8 cores, 16 threads will do me just fine as well. You know, but when the game cache looks, you know, considerably appealing on the 9. You know, there. But if you look at the base clocks on here, they're not that far off. So the boost, it's still good. The bases are good. The boost is good. Game cache, okay. You know, a little bit higher than that, and then you've got more cores and more threads. So that's quite juicy there. Content creation, built for gamers. Oh, we can't even click on that. It would have been nice to click on that. You know. So, let's see. 3rd generation AMD, Adobe Premiere, Ryzen 9, considerable difference. Even if you look at it, Ryzen 7 2700, right? Yeah, it's quite good for what it is. Ryzen 7 3700. So you can see where the sort of changes. On DaVinci Resolve, you can see Ryzen 9 has a bigger impact, sort of thing. So it depends, you know, what you want to do with it. Okay, built for gamers, designed to win, fast gaming performance. Okay, so that's good. It tells you, you know, what the performance is like. But again, this compares it to the Ryzen 7. It would have been nice to see comparative for the new generations, Ryzen 7 compared to Ryzen 9, the 3000 series. Let's see this one. Again, when you look at it compared to, okay, Ryzen 9's in there for the Ryzen 7, but when we compare it to this, Ryzen 7 versus the new Ryzen 7, you can see the differences. So again, you can decide where you want to go at. Okay, that looks like we've gone through the whole entire bit for our AMD course here. Now again, this has been quite helpful to me to understand the differences with the different generations on here, what the Ryzen 9, 7 and 5, what they sort of have to offer. Now if you're just going to be building a new computer build, you want it to be quite sort of modest for web browsing, a bit of gameplay, but you're not going to be really doing any video editing, but you want to be sort of, you know, a new computer. A Ryzen 5 will be more than sufficient, because we look at that, it will still, Ryzen 5, the price is slightly cheaper and you get to play the new games. It's still good, it does what it does. So again, I hope this has been helpful. Now I'm going to be looking to do a series of different sort of training, looking at what the training's been offered for AMD's Arena. And if you like what you see here, guys, you can sign up and it's free on the AMD site there, so we can all learn together. Now remember, by learning together, we're going to remember more, and this will it's the synergy we work with. So again, thank you very much everybody, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. And again, please feel free to leave some comments in there, but please have some good comments. This is the first time I'm doing this video tutorial on AMD, and if you have any good training bits that you could perhaps suggest, I'd be happy to look over it. Thank you very much, and have a good evening and a good night. Bye bye.